Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime series, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to us live every Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtime on ebizradio.com, where we talk everything leadership, coaching, and marketing. And you can listen to the Lunchtime series on all your major podcast channels today. Joining us on our coaching segment, as per usual, back for some more wonderful information, the co-owner and director of Raintree Business School, Leoni Coetzee. Leoni, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Kevin. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining me. I know that today we're going to have a really strong, powerful conversation.
Excuse the pun.
You guys recently, you and your business partner have shared a wonderful blog piece on this topic. And I thought, when you guys mentioned this, I thought, what a wonderful conversation to have. And I'm so glad that you raised this with us. And today we're going to be looking at stepping into power and what that really means. And I'm so glad that we could unpack this a little bit, because I think what we've done is we've really found some very obvious, very practical, but very science-driven evidence to support everything we're going to be speaking about. We're not talking about, just superhuman or superhero kind of stuff. This is real practical stuff. But I mean, what I want to sort of start off with to kick off this conversation is that the difference between power versus force. And according to David Hawkins, in his book, Power versus Force, he defines power as the alignment of our thoughts and actions with our highest values and principles to achieve our goals. Now, like, just that statement immediately resonates to the point, like this is how, coaches aim to live their lives. He says it characterizes by feelings of love, joy, and peace, right? Guys, that's really very important. The characteristics are feelings, love, joy, and peace. This contrast with force is the use of manipulation or coercion to get what you want, and is associated with negative emotions such as fear, anger, and aggression. So, Leoni, don't you want to just off the bat give us a bit of why this conversation? Why is it necessary? Because it says it really beautifully here, but I mean, there was a reason that, and what you guys took away from this and wanting to share it.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, definitely. This is a theme that's been popping up for us this month with quite a couple of our clients, and listening to the difference of that power versus the force. I'm sure our listeners are identifying that they've seen both in the leadership world.
Yeah.
Recently, I think the example that is so fresh for me and that really sparked this conversation for me was one of my clients that's recently stepped up into the business, is really now leading the business, taken over from another entity. And there's really all of these limiting beliefs and these questioning around leadership ability and what does it look like when I step into my power, and how do I make decisions, and am I good enough, and am I making the right decisions, and I should be asking X, Y, and Z, and I should giving this type of information from external forces. And what happened for her was that she had to step into a business meeting with suppliers, or it was a client, apologies. It was a client that she had to have a meeting, and she was feeling a little bit insecure stepping into this meeting. And really the meeting kind of just dragged her along, and she stepped out of it feeling really a bit wonky, if I can say that. It was an interesting conversation that we then had afterwards, where we used, and you and I have used this tool before where we've unpacked it, was the ladder of inference, where we just looked at what was the limiting belief systems that allowed her to kind of pull certain data from what had happened and the conversation and what people said, how she then translated into a kind of a confirmation to say, maybe she's just not good enough at this. She's not making the right decisions for the business. She doesn't know how to do this. She needs external input, advice, learnings to be able to do this properly. And actually, maybe she's just not meant to do this, right?
Yeah.
And her actions then was that of kind of not confidently stepping up, doubting herself, not making decisions, allowing these people to steamroll her. because all of these things was playing in the background. And what we did was we just challenged the belief around I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I don't know enough about the business, I can't. And we took her through a bit of a process to just step into it. I know you're going to unpack this more as we continue. Stepping into the place of intuition, where we just connected her with her authentic leader. And through that process, it was so beautiful to observe how she then very gently, calmly, with peace, with love, stepped into her power, actually stepped back from the situation and said, you know what? Actually, she knows exactly what to do. She knew exactly what decisions to make for her business much better than anybody else would have advised her to do. She just intuitively knew what to do. And it brought such peace and joy for her in that moment. And I could just see her stepping back into that authentic leadership power. And I thought, this is such an important conversation for us to have around leaders, to really hear this message and to share the tools around how do I step into my authentic leadership? How do I align my thoughts and my actions to my highest value and my principles to achieve my goals? And how do I really trust myself to make the right decisions or the best decisions for my team and for my business? And that's why I thought it's just such an important conversation for us to have today. But I want to give the ball back to you now, Kevin, because I know you've got such beautiful tools also to share around just how do we do this? How do I step into my power, that authentic, holistic leader that can really lead from this position of power? Why don't you share with us, please?
Yeah. So one of the things that when we started having this conversation, immediately I thought, okay, so uh, when people hear the word intuition, you kind of go, yeah. Like it's that thing that we feel, but we can't explain. It's a sixth sense kind of thing. And science will prove us, can prove it differently already. Being one of the assessors to MIT's Neuroscience for Business program, I get to be exposed to a lot of this information. And one of the things that we now know, and guys, I encourage you to Google this and go and check it out. We know that the same cells that the brain has is found in the heart and is found in the gut. So we know that there are three intelligences that your body functions from, right? The very important part to understand around intuition is normally we have that gut intuition, and we even say that, right? Part of that intelligence is connected to your gut understanding something about your moment, the experience that you're having that you could potentially be unsure of. And that could also lead to you making very different decisions based on the fact that you're either listening to your gut or you're not listening to your gut. And this conversation is that gut intuition is very important because your vagus nerve, interestingly enough, your vagus nerve has nine different arteries connected to your gut. So there's 9 places that your gut is really running information into your vagus nerve, running it through your heart all the way into your brain. And your brain's got this one stem that all this information is coming from, right? So from an intellectualized perspective, you have to consider that your gut information is incredibly important. The same with you often hear people say, "My heart isn't in this," right? There's a reason for saying that, because there's a feeling, there's an association of intelligence that is happening. And when you are not recognizing that intelligence, you are also not holistically stepping into a powerful leader. One of the things that they do mention about stepping into a holistic leader, and therefore a very powerful one, is staying motivated and resilient with your goals. And that in itself is just knowing what motivation is for you and knowing yourself well, the introspection of self. The second one is mastering your emotions, using creativity to create your ideal future, and literally really getting your brain on board with what it is you're wanting to see in the future. understanding your brain-body connection, right? And really understanding that there's more connected than just what's between your ears. There's a brain-body connection that's really involved. And we know this. There are moments where you walk into the room and the energy changes and you go, oh, that's strange. I'm not sure what that is. Like something about that. There's an intelligence that your body is trying to inform that you're not being aware of or not paying attention to. Then they also mention using logic to make sense of decisions. And yes, sometimes on paper, this client looks like the perfect client, and like, why are we not making this decision? This is an obvious decision we should be doing. But the last one is accessing your intuition, because from a neuroscience perspective, we know that accessing your intelligences from a different area could really inform how you make decisions at a large degree. So not only is it, having a practical step like the ladder of inference to actually help you really unpack this and see if this is the best process, you as the beacon or the barometer of feeling, like, is this working for me? Is it not working for me? And you have to be able to step into intuition and use it as a tool to be able to do this, right?
I
That's
want to jump in here quickly, Kevin, because as you're saying, there's just some practical tools that's jumping out at me. First of all, when you say, we need to listen to our bodies, it just highlights for me the importance, and it's a journey I'm currently taking, is to stop tuning out of our bodies. We are stress bunnies. We get addicted to that stress world. We
yeah,
tune out of our bodies. We're so addicted to the stress world. We don't listen to our bodies in terms of the foods that we eat. We don't listen to our bodies in terms of the exercise that it needs. I'm talking about migraines. I'm talking about backaches. I'm talking about headaches. I'm talking about this ease that our bodies go into when we're not taking good care of it. And then we don't have the ability to really listen to our bodies because we've numbed it with sleeping tablets and with whatever else we can pop into our mouths. The Brené Brown always talks about the banana muffin, the banana nut muffin. I think she talks about it, where we stuffing. We are putting stuff into our bodies to numb, and then we don't have the ability to really listen to what our bodies are saying to us. When
yeah,
the stress, also that intuition. When do we know when it is right for us or not? Some practical tools that I've learned is that when it's right, it feels open, it feels easy, it feels in flow, it feels light, it feels right. Kind of the logical brain we more in touch with. This makes logical sense. We're quite fit at that.
yeah.
But we've tuned out of our bodies and we've stopped being mindful in our bodies. So really living, and it sounds like such a cliche, but as leaders, the importance of living a healthy lifestyle so that we can listen to our bodies, and then the ability to listen to the intuition where we start listening, putting your attention in the body and start noticing when something feels open or closed. Is it an ease or is it difficult and hard? Does it make me tired? Does it feel light, joyous, or does it feel hard and strenuous? And those are the type of clues practically that we can listen out for and that we can practice and build the muscle and getting really good at. It's a tool that Angela and I in our business has really incorporated strongly so this year around looking at the business saying, is this feeling open, easy, and in flow? Is it feeling hard? Is this right for our business or not? So I love how you're speaking to that neuroscience because it's so valuable to really incorporate all three of those aspects.
Just another practical tip on how you can practically get involved with your own personal power is the mechanisms of neuroplasticity. And another beautiful element that they showcase within the neuroscience perspective of becoming a holistic leader and stepping into power are three things. Now they have fancy names, but they are practical to do. The first one's myelination, where you identify a skill that you would like to perfect. Now, and that could be playing a golf, you could, playing your golf, or you're going and playing tennis, and or playing the piano for that matter, or speaking a second language. Synaptic connection, which is identifying a skill that you would like to improve. So maybe it's active listening. Maybe it's something that you intentionally doing that could improve and help you step into leadership power more relevantly and regularly. And the last one is neurogenesis, which is identify a new skill that you would like to learn. So maybe it is learning a third language, or maybe it's learning the skill of knitting, or learning a skill, right? So these three areas where you're looking at myelination, synaptic connection, and neurogenesis can just be a add-on, practical, easy to do kind of way, and say, you know what, I need to get through at least reading a book a month, right? It could be part of one of these practices where it also practically helps you step into power. Because I think we sometimes, like you say, we get so stressed bunnied out that we kind of forget to do just the practicality and the practical things that literally help guide your day-to-day moments of stepping into power. And the more you do it, the better it gets, because that's how neuroplasticity works. Your brain's building those connections and the pathways based on the fact that you do it more often. And the more you do it, the better it gets. The better it gets, the more you do it. Right? So literally, practically, actually doing that. But I mean, one of the questions that I want to ask you is also, because you've made a beautiful list for us for what the authentic power holistic leader is stepping into that power. What are those benefits that we actually get? Because there's quite a lot.
There is, and this is, it's a lot, something that we're really working hard with in our teams and in our leaderships, to really allow people to understand, when I step into my holistic, authentic, intuitive leader, so I am confidently able to make decisions in the business. I'm confidently able to lead my team, to give honest and real feedback. What starts happening is your team starts trusting you, because it speaks to that authenticity in the way that you're showing up. One of the tools that we often work with here is the trust triangle. So the first thing is authenticity. Is, as a leader, am I always showing up true, honest, and real? And then, do I have empathy for my team? Do they feel like they're being heard and considered? And when I am in this place of, I am in my intuition and I'm allowing my team to contribute, I'm listening and I'm considering and I'm hearing. I'm not just directing and barking out orders. And then I'm able to hear the logic and I can make sound decisions. And now we're building trust in our team. And we know when there's trust in the team, it creates safety, right? And a safe team is able to have honest, real conversation.
Yeah.
It's people that puts up their hand and say, we've got a problem here, or this client is unhappy. They don't try to cover it up and quickly try to find their own solution. They're giving honest feedback and saying, this is not working. We need to do this differently. So suddenly you're having a cohesive team that is learning together, because you've got that dialogue happening, right?
Yeah.
And now we're learning from mistakes and we're co-creating. So it's really a team dynamic that starts forming, because your leader has really stepped up in that authentic power and confidently leading a team that now feels safe. So it's that thing around, how do I get my team to hear me and to listen to me? How do I make sure that I'm making the right decisions? How do I keep my people accountable? It is always the starting with yourself. And I love the examples that you've given, the practical tools that you've given around, how do I practice the logical thinking? What am I doing around my body to keep my body happy and healthy, so that I can feel my heart and listen to my body? What am I doing to get really good at hearing my intuition? Angela and I use what we call a feeling compass. It's something that we've incorporated in our business to help us to stay true to this, where we say, when we're making a decision in the business, or we're designing a solution for a client, or we're doing a costing model, it doesn't matter what it is that we're busy with in the business. We kind of take our feeling compass and saying, is this feeling open? Is this feeling light? Is it feeling in ease and in flow? because that allows us to remain in, and the word I'm looking for here is staying true to our true north, to ensure that we stay with our value system in the business and that we continuously doing things aligned with who and what we are, to stay in our authentic leadership.
But I just want to mention, but it brings us right back to where we started with the difference between power and forces. He defines it as the alignment of our thoughts and actions with the highest values and the principles to achieve our highest goals, right? And
Absolutely.
that characterized by feelings, love, joy, and peace, right? So, like, if you're not feeling, that feeling compass, that might be that there's an unalignment somewhere. Something is not gelling. And if that intuition speaks and is louder than the conversation you're having, and it starts becoming louder and louder and louder as you're going through it, pay attention to it and say, I need to raise my hand here and go, there's something wrong. I'm feeling off, right? Another thing that I just, that comes to mind as you mentioned, when we look at power is, because we have some more time, I just wanted to add to this is, I was speaking to a leader in a coaching session this week, and I said, well, what inevitably do you want to achieve from being a leader? And he kind of sat back and he wasn't sure. I said, don't you just want to simply create more leaders? And he's like, yeah. And the point is, when you're, as the leader, when you're taking the time and the practical action to do the practical action things that require you to step into your power, and you then take that and you share it with other people and you empower them to be leaders, then you don't have a bunch of employees working for you. You have a bunch of leaders working with you. So if I'm the leader...
And what success can you achieve when you have a bunch of authentic leaders pulling in the same direction, right?
And then you have a leader working in finance, and you have a leader working in sales, and you have a leader working in whatever. But until you're actively, as the leader, creating leaders, you just have a bunch of employees you're going to be dragging along or trying to get them to see stuff and trying to, and not everyone's on board, and then their intuition's not with yours, and there's unalignment. But when you're actively teaching and also, what's the word? Being the example too, right? Yes. Being the example too, what great leadership looks like. It's easy to follow someone who shows up as a great leader. It's easy to align with them. It's easy to connect to someone's vision when they come in there and step into power and they have a vision, right? And you might not even agree with the vision, but the fact that they come in there and say, this is my vision, you might be able to tweak and mold it. But until you show up as the leader, how do people then show up, right? And also people are waiting for people to do it. Not everyone has the chutzpah and the ability and the know-how or the capacity to be vulnerable and courageous, to kind of go, I'll be the one. I'll be the one who steps into power. I'll be the one who challenges myself. I'll be the one that shows up every day and actively gets into that space of living my highest values, being in principles to what it is we're wanting to achieve, and doing that with feelings of love, joy, and peace, and completely intuitively guiding this business. That is a very powerful leader.
Exactly.
And I think that's what, that's the point. That's what I took away from, listening to the powerful conversation, because there's more. And the thing is, there's more capacity and capability to be able to do this than we think there is. We think power is that thing over there that those powerful people do. And it's like, no, you as the one who has time and a brain and the ability to be aware. I mean, one of the things that I've been saying now for a couple of months is just become curious. Just become curious of what's showing up for you. Like, is this intuition throwing you off? Is your brain-body connection throwing you off? Do you have a brain-body connection, and do you know how it works? Do you know how logic is interfering with your motivation, or logic is interfering with your intuition? And which one should you be asking or listening to? And if both of them are in conflict, get a third party in and say, this is the logic, this is your intuition. Tell me what you think, right? Have a wonderful divergent conversation so that, it comes from a holistic leadership, powerful position.
And what I absolutely love about that word curiosity, curiosity immediately takes us out of the place of ego.
Yes.
And the second we're out of the place of ego, we can connect with intuition and we can explore, and it opens up. Curiosity allows us to open up.
Yeah.
And as leaders, it's what's the curious thing for me is that when you step into intuition and you connect with your authentic leadership, it's easy. It's
Yeah.
in flow.
It's a flow.
It's not this hard thing about, oh, I have to make the right decision for the business. It comes. And when you start applying that feeling compass, it guides you where it really is a muscle that you start practicing, right? Where you it becomes easier the more you do it, where you can feel this feels open, this feels closed. And you can then really start trusting yourself.
And
So
as you were speaking now, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. When you have curiosity, you're letting go of the ego,
mm,
which equals you letting go of any judgment.
yes,
You don't judge it. It's not your version. You're not trying to impose. You're simply egoless, curious, and you come from a whole different perspective and a whole
mm,
different mind frame based on the fact that you've got rid of the ego.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's profound. That should be written. Lenny, if
I
you
love
sum this up, what
you.
what is your powerful takeaways from this? Because to me, there's so much. But what do you
Yeah, there is.
leave the guys with today?
So I think what is, we so easily speak about stepping into your power. What I loved about our discussion today was understanding a little bit better around what does that mean? How do I step into my authentic, holistic leadership? And it is about really getting close to self, getting to know self, tuning into the body, living that healthy, cliched lifestyle so that we can listen to the body. It's doing those little exercises that really sharpen the mind to be able to apply logical thinking. It is building the muscle to listen to your third brain, your intuition, and allow it to guide. When you implement being led and guided by intuition, and you do that good logical check, and we let go of ego, step curiously into all of this, it allows for us to become authentic leaders that can trust our decisions. It allows us to build confidence and allows us to confidently lead teams and empower teams to also step into their authentic leadership. That will just enhance everybody in the business to pull towards the same goals, and lead us to success. Kind of, I hope that makes sense.
I love it. I love it. I love that, and I think that. I'm not going to add anything to that. But what I would like to add is just a beautiful sentiment and speech that I heard to close off today. Is Andre de Shields? He's a Tony Award winning actor who receives his award. And I think it's so profound, and I would encourage everybody just to consider. He says, surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you coming. Slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. And the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next, so keep climbing.
That is beautiful. You have to send that to me.
Leoni, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a fantastic conversation. Step into that power. Go listen to it again. There's some really nice points you can take away from this. Make some notes and let us know what you think, and chat to us. We're all over all our social medias. Chat to us and let us know. Leoni, thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, and I'll chat to you soon.
Same to you. Thanks, Kevin.
Cheers for now. Bye.
Bye bye.